Hello, Mr. Zook's class. I hope you all had a great spring break. I will not be in until Wednesday. Tuesday, Miss Hanson's going to sub, but I'm going to record this book for you anyways because I know a lot of you like the My Weird School books, and I found this one the other day. It's called Bunny Double, We're in Trouble. Chapter 1. How to Look Like a Dork. My name is AJ, and I hate wearing a tie. Ties are horrible. Who came up with the idea that boys should wear a skinny piece of cloth around their necks on holidays? That was the dumbest idea in the history of the world. Wake up, AJ, my mom shouted from downstairs. Get dressed, and don't forget to put on your new shirt and tie. What? I opened my eyes. It was Sunday. There was no school. We were on spring vacation. Why did I need to get dressed up? Do I have to? I yelled. It's Easter, AJ, my dad shouted. Show some respect. Respect? Why is it respectful to wear a string around your neck? That makes no sense at all. When I grow up, I'm going to be a professional skateboarder. Skateboarders don't wear ties. They wear sneakers and ripped jeans. I got up and put on my new shirt. Then I put on the dumb tie. Well, I tried to put on the dumb tie. My dad once showed me how to tie a tie, but I don't remember very well. I put the fat end over the skinny end and looped it around. No, that wasn't right. Then I tried putting the skinny end over the fat end and looped it around. That wasn't right either. How do you tie a tie anyways? Ties are impossible to tie. Hurry up, AJ, my mom yelled from downstairs. We have to go. I tried to tie the tie every which way. Nothing worked. It looked like a bird's nest hanging around my neck. This was going to be the worst day of my life. That's when Dad came into my room to see what was taking me so long. He was wearing his nice suit. This tie is broken, I told him. It doesn't work right. Here, buddy, Dad said. Let me help you with that. My dad stood behind me and tied the tie in like 2 seconds. He pulled the knot all the way up to the top. Ah, you're choking me, I gagged. The tie, it's cutting off the air supply to my brain. Need oxygen. Feel woozy. Everything spinning. I think I'm gonna pass out. Must go back to bed. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Dad said. Let's go downstairs. When we got to the top of the stairs, my mom looked up at me. A big smile spread across her face. You look very handsome and grown up, AJ. I look like a dork, I said. How are you enjoying the story so far? Can we get a pillow or something to make this reading experience more pleasurable? Chapter 2, The Why Game. My older sister Amy was already downstairs. She was all dolled up in her pink dress, white shoes, and frilly Easter bonnet. My mom was dressed up fancy too. It looked like we were all going to a funeral. Okay, let's go, my dad said. Do I have to go? I asked. Yes, you have to go, AJ, said my mom. Why? I asked. Because it's Easter, and this is what we do on Easter, said my dad. Why? I asked again. If you don't want to do something, try playing the why game. It's fun. Here's how you play. No matter what your mom or dad says, just keep asking why. It drives grown-ups crazy. Sometimes the why game can go on for hours. We have to go because it's a family tradition, my mom said. Why? I asked. It just is, said my dad. Why? Because I said so, my dad barked. That's not fair, I whined. The why game always ends with the grown-ups barking, because I said so, and then you have to whine. That's not fair. Nobody knows why. I'll take care of this, Amy announced. She pulled me to the side. It's Easter, dumbhead, Amy whispered in my ear. Don't you know what that means? It means I have to wear a tie. No, Amy whispered. It means you get to eat lots of candy. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Now she was talking my language. They're going to have tons of chocolate, Amy whispered, and marshmallows, and Peeps. Peeps? Did she just say Peeps? My name is AJ, and I love Peeps. In case you live in a cave where they don't sell Peeps, they are these delicious marshmallow candies shaped like chicks and bunnies, and they're coated with sugar, which is my favorite food. You can put sugar on just about anything to make it taste good. I bet that if you covered a clump of dirt with sugar, it would probably taste good. Not that I'm going to eat dirt or anything, but I bet my friend Ryan would eat a sugar-coated dirt clump. He'll eat anything, even stuff that isn't food. Marshmallows are already made out of sugar, so they taste great. But then they put even more sugar on them to turn them into Peeps, and that makes them taste even better than a plain marshmallow. I bet if you took a Peep and sprinkled even more sugar on it, it would taste even better. I should try that sometime. The point is that Peeps are the greatest invention in the history of the world. Well, I guess the light bulb was pretty good too, but it'd be weird to eat light bulbs. The person who invented Peeps should get the Nobel Prize. That's a prize they give out to people who don't have bells. And the best part of it is that on Easter you can eat all the Peeps you want. No questions asked. I've learned a lot about life in my 8 years. Sometimes you have to take the bad with the good. If you want to get really great at skateboarding, you have to spend hours and hours practicing. If you want to get great grades in school, you have to spend hours and hours studying. And if you want to eat Peeps, you have to wear a dumb string around your neck for hours and hours. Let's go, I said, charging out the door. This was going to be the best day of my life. Chapter 3, Me and My Peeps. After we drove 1,100,000 miles, my dad pulled the car into the driveway of a gigantic mansion. It looked like the White House. Wow, I said, which is Mom upside down. Who lives in this place? The President of the United States? No, this is Mayor Hubble's house, my mom told me. Mayor Hubble? He used to be the mayor of our town, but then he got in trouble by stealing money. I heard he was in jail. The mayor cares so deeply about our town, Mom told me, that he wanted to have an Easter celebration at his house, even though he can't be there himself. We walked inside. The place looked like a museum. There were paintings of Mayor Hubble hanging on the wall, and lots of servants, too. Well, the servants weren't hanging on the walls. That would be weird. There were so many servants that I think some of the servants had servants. And they were all wearing tuxedos. Hey, how come guys in tuxedos look like penguins? What's up with that? The place was really fancy. I was afraid to touch anything or sit in a chair because a SWAT team might come running in and arrest me. Some musicians wearing tuxedos were playing that song, A Tisket, a Tasket, which makes no sense at all. What's a tasket? I bet they just made up that word because they couldn't think of anything else that rhymed with basket. Welcome to Hubble Manor, one of those servants guys said to us. If I can do anything to make your visit here more enjoyable, please do not hesitate to ask. Where are the peeps? I asked. That's rude, AJ, my mom told me. You don't ask where the peeps are. They'll give out peeps when they're good and ready to give out peeps. Mom was really mad. We walked around for a few minutes until some other servant guy came over. He was carrying a plate of food. Hors d'oeuvres, he asked. I didn't know what an hors d'oeuvre what hors d'oeuvres were, but they looked yucky. Man, you could get lost in this place, my dad said, as he picked up one of those hors d'oeuvres things. Hubble Manor has 34 bedrooms, said the hors d'oeuvre guy, a library, a helicopter pad, 23 bathrooms. 23 bathrooms? Was he joking? My house only has 2 bathrooms. Mayor Hubble must have to go to the bathroom all the time. You should see a doctor about that instead of putting bathrooms all over the house. And 4 half baths, said the hors d'oeuvre guy. Half baths, I asked. Why would anyone want half a bathroom? What could you do with half a toilet bowl? A half bath is a powder room, sir, the guy told me. Powder room? Mayor Hubble needs a whole room to hold powder, I asked. Why can't he just keep powder in a little box like normal people? Most amusing, said the hors d'oeuvre guy as he walked away. If you folks need anything, I'm at your disposal. Disposal? What was he talking about? I didn't bring a garbage can with me. That guy was weird. We walked down a gigantic hallway that was filled with statues of Mayor Hubble. The hallway led to the backyard, where a lot of people were hanging around. The whole gang was there. I spotted my friends Michael, Ryan, Alexia, and Neil. Everybody was all dressed up, even Alexia. She's a tomboy, and she never wears a dress. But then I saw the most horrible thing in the history of the world. Andrea Young. She is this annoying girl in my class with curly brown hair. Andrea was giggling with her crybaby friend Emily. They came running over. Hi, Arlo, Andrea said. She calls me by my real name because she knows I don't like it. What do you think of my new dress? Andrea spun around to show off her dumb dress. Ugh, disgusting. I was about to say something mean, but my mother gave me a look and said, It's lovely, Andrea. I do just love getting dressed up in fancy clothes, Andrea gushed. Did you see my corsage? I love it, said Emily, who always agrees with everything Andrea said. Do you like mine? I love it, said Andrea. Andrea and Emily were saying the L word way too much. I thought I was going to throw up. My parents went to some fancy room to drink coffee and talk about the weather with the other grown-ups. That's what they do when there are no kids around. Nobody knows why. Me and the guys and Alexia went out on the back lawn. It was huge. Man, you could play football out here, I said. I wish we could play football here, said Michael, instead of doing this stuff. One of the servant guys must have heard us because he came over. Actually, he told us, this lawn used to be a football field years ago. If you look carefully, you can see the lines on the grass. He was right. It would be cool to play football on Mayor Hubble's lawn, but that would have been impossible because it was filled with kids, flying kites, playing with hula hoops, and getting their faces painted. There were jugglers, clowns, guys playing banjos, storytellers, and all kinds of activities. Mayor Hubble sure knows how to throw a party, said Ryan. Did you guys see any peeps? Asked Alexia. Yeah, I said. Where are the peeps? Peeps are awesome. We could eat heaps of peeps, said Michael, who never ties his shoes. I could eat peeps in my sleep, said Neil, who we called the new kid even though he wears clothes. Only creeps don't like peeps, said Alexia. I weep if I don't get peeps, said Ryan. I wish I was knee-deep in... I didn't get a chance to finish my sentence, because at that moment, the most amazing thing in the history of the world happened. We heard a noise up in the sky. Well, that wasn't the amazing part. We hear noises up in the sky all the time. The amazing part was that the noise was a helicopter, and it was coming down on the lawn. Everybody pointed up in the air. The helicopter landed on a big circle at the far end of the grass. The propeller stopped spinning, and the door opened. I think it's the president, some kid yelled. No, it's the Pope, yelled some other kid. No, it's Chuck Norris, a third kid yelled. We were all wrong. The guy who came out of the helicopter was Mayor Hubble. Chapter 4. Mayor Hubble is no longer in trouble. We all ran over to the helicopter. This was exciting. Mayor Hubble is an important man. He's like the king of the world. It wasn't every day we got to see such a famous person. A big cheer went up as Mayor Hubble stepped off the helicopter and waved to the crowd. His bodyguards came running over. They were big guys in black shirts and sunglasses who looked mean. Some other guys came out in a line and started playing trumpets to welcome Mayor Hubble. A few servants rolled out a red carpet so Mayor Hubble wouldn't have to walk on the grass. A couple of other guys set up a podium for Mayor Hubble to stand behind. Important people like Mayor Hubble always stand behind a podium when they talk. Nobody knows why. Mayor Hubble probably has a podium in his living room. It would be cool if he stood behind the podium in his living room and said something like, I have an important announcement to make. It's time for me to take out the garbage. The principal of our school, Mr. Klutz, came running up to the podium. He has no hair at all. I mean, none. Mayor Hubble, said Mr. Klutz, to what do we owe the pleasure of your company? I thought you were in jail. That's grown-up talk for, what are you doing here? Got time off for good behavior, replied Mayor Hubble. I would never miss the annual Easter egg hunt. All the kids gathered around the podium. Even the grown-ups came out of the house to listen to the mayor's speech. Suddenly, everyone got quiet. Welcome to Hubble Manor, the mayor said into the microphone. Today, my house is your house. This is the people's house. Hooray for Mayor Hubble, somebody shouted, and we all had to do that hip hip hooray thing. Mayor Hubble took a sheet of paper out of his jacket and started to read his speech. Friends, families, students, teachers, and parents, he said. What a wonderful day this is. Spring is in the air. Every year at this time, blah, 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 blah. Easter, blah, 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 blah. Renewal of life, blah, 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 blah. Flowers pushing up through the frosty ground, blah, 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 blah. What a snooze fest. He went on like that for about 1,100,000 hours. I had no idea what he was talking about. My shirt was itchy, my tie was choking me. I thought I was going to die. All I could think about was when Mayor Hubble would stop talking so we could go eat peeps. Chapter 5. The Little Monsters. Everybody cheered when Mayor Hubble finished his speech. I wasn't sure if they were cheering because it was such a good speech or because it was over. Some guys rolled the red carpet back up and took away the podium. And now, said Mayor Hubble, I would like to introduce our hostess for the day, my lovely wife, Bubbles. Bubbles Hubble? Mrs. Bubbles came running over. She looked like one of those ladies in a shampoo commercial who swirls her hair around in slow motion. Mrs. Bubbles had on a red dress and high heels. She gave the mayor a big kiss and told him how happy she was to see him again. Ugh, disgusting. Hey, everybody, Miss Bubbles announced. Thank you for coming today. Are you ready for our annual Easter egg roll? Egg roll, I shouted. Yippee! I love Chinese food. Not that kind of egg roll, dumbhead, Andrea said to me, rolling her eyes. It's an egg roll. You roll eggs. I knew that, I lied. Apparently, an egg roll is when a bunch of kids roll eggs along the grass. First one to push the egg across the finish line is the winner. If you ask me, that had to be the dumbest contest in the history of the world. What's the point of rolling an egg around somebody's lawn? I'm not doing that, said Michael. That's for little kids. Me neither, said Ryan and Neil. Emily and Andrea said they didn't want to get dirt on their new dresses. The winner of the egg roll will receive a prize, announced Miss Bubbles. The first child to push his or her egg across the finish line will receive a wooden egg personally autographed by Mayor Hubble and me. Mrs. Bubbles held up the wooden egg. A wooden egg, Andrea, Alexia whispered to me. Where do you think she got a wooden egg? From a wooden chicken, I guess. Alexia and I decided that it would be cool to win a wooden egg. We went over to the starting line. So did about 1 million first graders. Look at those little munchkins, I whispered to Alexia. No way they're going to beat us. This is going to be a piece of cake, said Alexia. I didn't know what cake had to do with anything. Why is everybody always talking about cake? Mrs. Bubbles gave each of us a plastic egg and a long spoon. Then we went over to the starting line. Okay, is everybody ready? Asked Mrs. Bubbles. On your mark. Get set. Let's roll. I thought that Alexia and I could just push those first grade munchkins out of the way. But it was the other way around. They were like animals, yelling and screaming and pushing and shoving and crying and swinging their spoons every which way. It was like a war zone. Get out of my way, some kid shouted. Watch out. Mommy, ooh, you hit me in the face with your spoon. I thought I was going to get trampled by those little monsters. They were brutal. And they were actually winning. If Alexia and I lost the egg roll, the gang would never stop making fun of us. That's when I came up with the greatest idea in the history of the world. Psst, I whispered to Alexia. Let's just pick our eggs up and throw them across the finish line. Nobody will know. You should get the Nobel Prize for that idea, Alexia whispered back. I bent down to pick up my egg, but before I could get it, one of the little first grade munchkin girls stomped on it. Crack. My egg was all over the grass in a bunch of pieces. Hey, kid, I shouted, you busted my egg. But that little munchkin didn't care. She was long gone. Some other little boy monster stepped on Alexia's egg and smashed it. He ended up winning the wooden egg. After the egg roll was over, Michael and Ryan made fun of us for letting a bunch of first graders beat us. I thought Mrs. Bubbles might give us some peeps for participating in the egg roll, but she didn't. Maybe there's a peep shortage, Alexia told me. Yeah, maybe they have to conserve the peeps, Ryan said. So there will still be peeps left in 100 years for our children and future generations to eat. The peeps would be stale by then, said Neil. Stale peeps are better than no peeps, said Michael. Can't they just make more peeps, I asked. Okay, kids, said Mrs. Bubbles. Let's all go in the house. All right, finally, it was Peeps time. Chapter 6. I thought I was gonna die. Die is spelled D-Y-E. Mrs. Bubbles let us inside Hubble Manor. There were separate rooms for the first graders, second graders, third graders, and fourth graders. Me and the gang went into the third grade room. A long table was in there, and you'll never believe, in 1,000,000 years, who walked into the door at that moment. Nobody. It would hurt if you walked into a door, but you never believe who walked into the doorway. It was our art teacher from school, Miss Hannah. She never throws anything away because she says everything can be art. Miss Hannah was wearing an Easter dress made out of old potholders. "What are you doing here, Miss Hannah?" asked Neil. "Are you going to pass out Peeps?" asked Alexia. "We want Peeps," I shouted, jumping up from my seat. "We want Peeps." I figured everyone would be jumping up from their seats and start chanting, "We want Peeps," with me. I looked around. Nobody else was standing. Nobody else was chanting. Everybody was looking at me. Well, that was embarrassing. I sat back down in my seat. "No, I'm not here to pass out Peeps," said Miss Hannah. "I'm going to help you to do Easter egg dyeing." "What?" "I thought Easter eggs were already dead," I said. Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. "Not that kind of dyeing, dumbhead," Andrea said, rolling her eyes. "We're going to dye eggs in different colors. That's my favorite thing to do in the whole world." "Mine too," shouted Emily. She jumped up in the air and started hugging Andrea. Everything those two do is their favorite thing to do in the whole world. What is their problem? Why can't a truck full of Easter eggs fall on their heads? We all sat down at the long table. Miss Hannah got out a bunch of eggs and cups and other stuff from a cabinet. She put a colored tablet into each cup and then poured water and vinegar into the cups. Ugh, the vinegar smelled horrible. I thought I was going to die. Die, D-I-E. We put our eggs on those little wire things so we could dip them into the cups. Miss Hannah showed how we could put stickers on the eggs or wrap rubber bands around them so the dye would only color certain parts of the egg. It was pretty cool, I had to admit. We dyed a lot of eggs. At the end, our fingers were all different colors. We had to wait a few minutes for our eggs to dry, so Miss Hannah had us sing this song called "Little Bunny Foo-Foo." Did you ever hear that song? It's about this rabbit that goes hopping through the forest. It sees a bunch of field mice that were minding their own business, and it starts bopping them on the head for no reason. He probably went crazy because his parents named him Foo-Foo. What kind of name is Foo-Foo? I'll bet all the other rabbits make fun of him at school. If my parents named me Foo-Foo, I would run away to Antarctica to go live with the penguins. The song was weird. You had to sing it about 5 million times. Then Miss Hannah got out crayons so we could draw pictures on our dyed eggs. "I'm going to draw a pretty butterfly," said Andrea. "Me too," said Emily. "I'm going to draw an elephant stomping on 2 butterflies," I said. "You're mean, Arlo," Andrea said. Miss Hannah started singing the Bunny Foo-Foo song again, and you never believe who poked his head into the door at that moment. Nobody. It would hurt if you poked your head into a door. I thought we went over that already, but you never believe who poked his head in the doorway. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. But you have to read the next chapter. So nanny, nanny, boo-boo on you. So we will start on chapter 7 tomorrow.